I can't believe it's been about a year since I got my diagnosis of gastric cancer. And I look back at the videos I did towards the beginning of this process, and it almost looks like I'm looking at a different person. And at that time, I was getting so much information coming in such a short period of time. To tell you the truth, I never really thought or wondered about what type of pain I might experience as a result of the treatment around the gastric cancer. And it wasn't until I was getting closer to having the total gastrectomy, then those questions about how much is this going to hurt and how long and how am I going to manage it, then I started wondering about those things. So this entry into my video diary is centered around pain management, because I thought that me sharing what my experience was, I'm not going to know what your experience of pain is going to be like, but if I can share what my experience of pain was like, maybe it'll settle your mind a little bit if you're looking at going into the same type of surgical procedure. So with that said, this video is about pain management. Talking about pain management at the time of gastrectomy and post-operatively. Leading up to the surgery, quite frankly, nothing really hurt. There were things that were uncomfortable. Getting a PICC line put in, that's uncomfortable, but I wouldn't consider it pain. That brings us to surgery. And what I had at the very beginning of the total gastrectomy was an epidural. And you may have had an epidural, and so you already know this. I didn't have experience with it and had no idea of how much the epidural would actually hurt. I don't swear often, but I'll tell you, every word that I could possibly think of came to my head because it hurt. You're kind of humped over into a ball, and the anesthetic goes into your lower spine to numb from your belly button, around your belly button. And I just remember thinking for about the 10 minutes or so that it took, in my head, what was playing on a loop was, plenty of people have done this before. Plenty of people have done this before. And I just kept thinking about that as a way to help me through the time. As bad as that was, I would do it again. And the reason why I would do it again is that when it's over, it's over. There's no lingering pain at the time you're getting the epidural in. And when I came out of surgery, I had absolutely and totally no pain at all. And I ascribe that to having the epidural. So it's kind of an investment in pain management. While I was in the hospital, immediately post-surgery, I was hooked up to a PCA, which is patient-controlled analgesic. And it's a pump, it has medicine in it, and when you hit the button, if you're feeling pain, you get some pain management medicine. My PCA had fentanyl in it, and I think because of all that I've read about fentanyl, I was really hesitant to hit that button. Because I had the epidural, I really didn't need to when I first came back to the hospital room, because I didn't have the pain. But as the epidural wore off, then I started getting a bit uncomfortable, but I wouldn't hit the button because I didn't want to play with fentanyl. Well, it turns out that was kind of stupid. It's such a small dose. And the surgeon kindly explained that by staying on top of the pain, you're able to rest. And when you can rest better, you can also sleep better. And when you can sleep better, you can heal better. So it all made sense. I then went ahead, used the PCA machine. Everything was fine. I slept beautifully and had no negative side effects whatsoever. Again, it was really good pain management. When I was sent home from the hospital, I was sent home with tramadol and paracetamol. And the tramadol, you could have one or two, depending on how uncomfortable you were. They're 50 milligrams a tab. So the tramadol was 1 or 2 tabs every 6 hours, and the Panadol was 1,000 milligrams every 4 hours. I was afraid because, post-operatively, you wake up, you go to sleep, you might know what time of day it is, you might not. I don't want to mess with medications. So I put a list, I don't want to forget what I took. So I put a list of what I took, what time, kept it on the refrigerator to make sure that I did not take more than I was ever supposed to in a 24-hour period. And the doctor told me it was safe to take the paracetamol and the tramadol, kind of like I would take one and then I would take the other. Tramadol made me sleepy, so I would be more likely to take that at night. And again, I stayed on top of it for the first week. I didn't wait until I had pain. I kind of stuck to a schedule, and there was really no problem. Back in December, I ended up back in the hospital for a gallstone. And what's really wild about this is I don't have a gallbladder. I had my gallbladder out maybe 25 years ago. So they don't know if it was a gallstone that was lurking around or where it really came from. But I had a gallstone working its way through my liver duct, which is every bit as painful as it sounds. And ended up in the ER. They initially gave me a tab of morphine. Tell you, it just didn't touch it. So here I had no problem with pain management, all the post-gastrectomy time, no problem at all. But here I'm in the ER and just an incredible amount of pain with this stupid gallstone. And I had explained to them I didn't have a stomach, but when it wasn't until they moved me from having a tab of morphine, then they moved me to intravenous morphine, that was exactly what I needed. And then the rest of the pain management went fine from them. It was just an intense pain. It was definitely better to get it in IV form.